So, welcome back to the show. I'm outside now and going to go ahead and install the pump after I just got done making my gaskets for it. So, as you can see, I got it all torn apart. Not happy about it, but it's torn apart. So, let's see if I can get a good angle here. Maybe it'll be easier if I flip the camera so I can see where I got it pointed. As you can see, that's where it mounts. It's a 9 spline, in case anybody is curious. There we go. So, it's important, make sure you got the input and output on the right side. They only go one direction. That sun is intense. Just for the heck of it, since I have it apart, I'll go ahead, see if this slides out easily to show you guys. This little red thing is your Lovejoy coupler. It reduces vibrations and play in there. And it is a keyed shaft. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back on. Okay. Now, your Allen bolts, like I said, they're a T50. They're a little oily, so it's a little slippery trying to get them on there. I like to get at least 6 threads or 8 threads. The more the better, so you don't worry about stripping it out. I can't get in there at a good angle with my gun, so just turned it in. Yeah, I did. Be back in 2 seconds. Okay, maybe that was like 30 seconds, but okay. But I'm back. See if I can get a little bit closer up in here. Get that sun glare out of the way. Okay. Like I said, these 2 bolts, they were like barely finger tight when I went to take it off, which isn't a huge deal, I don't think. Eventually could be a huge deal, but you really got to go over like every single nut and bolt on these things. I tighten this with the gun, but just to be on the safe side, torque them down. Okay, nice and tight. So this is another one of those washers that I don't like from one of my previous videos in the valve body. So since it's out, I think I'm going to go ahead and replace it with an O-ring like I did in the valve body, because these washers are very thin, and I don't want to get this all together just to find I reused this cheap washer that they put on and have a problem. So I'll be back in 30 seconds. Okay, so these fittings, the same as the fittings in the valve body, is recessed where this O-ring will go. So I don't know if you can see that without me taking the O-ring back off, but I replaced all the washers in the valve assembly with these O-rings with no issues and no leaks. So I feel confident that this will work. Okay, where's my other fitting? There it is. Man, same deal with the washer. I really don't want to run back inside, but I'm going to. This washer don't want to come out. There we go. Okay. Sorry, 30 more seconds. figure, take the time, do it right. Got my O-ring in there now. Make sure to oil up your O-rings a little bit so you don't tear them. Same principle as when you're doing an oil filter. I really wish I was facing away from the sun. Now, when I took these off, I just used an adjustable wrench. So I can't tell you off the top of my head what size wrench. But I can tell you the sucker was on there when I went to take it off. I ended up putting this 4-foot piece of pipe I had over it to break it free. I'm not going to use the pipe to put it back on there because I feel like that was pretty excessive how tight it was. I'm a pretty strong guy, so I'm just going to go as tight as I can get it. Because I also don't want to strip the threads out. Hopefully in 5 more minutes it'll be back in action. Well, 5 minutes, and then I'll test it, and then if all's well, I'll go ahead and put the covers back on. Okay, that's tight enough for me. Now this hose fought me a little bit getting it off. So this one's probably going to be a little tricky getting it on. And I do not want to cross thread it. Actually, maybe it's not as tricky as I was expecting. That's going on there nice and easy. Okay. This wasn't super tight like the fitting was, so I'm not going to go crazy tightening it down, but I am going to get it nice and tight. This one's going to be a little bit messy. I just took one of my gloves and covered it and wrapped it in a rubber band so all my fluid wouldn't leak out, because it's brand new fluid after I just cleaned the whole system. So I'm going to try to do this fast so I don't lose a ton of fluid. Don't smash my fingers. Wow, those rubber bands are on there tight. Okay, oh, there goes my fluid. Okay, that wasn't so bad. I'll bet you this thing had some damage to it before I even got it, because I bought it secondhand. And I'll bet you that filter was floating around before I had gotten it. And it did have a couple hours on it. Maybe the guy noticed a decrease in power before he sold it to me, but I didn't know any better when I got it. So I thought it was how it was supposed to be. But over the 10 hours I used it, kept getting worse and worse to the point where I couldn't even turn with the tracks. Okay, so one thing that I need to do is take these washers out of my pressure release valve that I had added to give it extra pressure, because I was trying to eliminate a faulty pressure release valve. I'll try to move the camera and show you what I'm talking about here. Also, one thing that I did here, I don't know if you can see, I cut this and put a smaller diameter pipe that will, where am I on the camera, slide right into the bottom side of the pipe. So, let me turn around. Crap, what'd I do? No, I don't want to put stickers. Turn the camera. Okay, so I don't have to take off the entire canopy. I can just disconnect these here, and that frees up this whole thing for me to remove, and I can leave the rest of the canopy. Just a little suggestion for everybody. Can I get the camera to stay put? Let me grab my battery. I am not a professional videographer, or whatever you call it, so I'm just using whatever I have laying around to try to hold the camera for me. Oh yeah, yep, we're good. Nah, everything's backwards because of the camera. I have it like selfie mode or whatever. I don't know what it's called. I'm using the forward-facing camera, so that way I can see where I have the camera pointed, and you guys aren't staring off into space somewhere. But yeah, let me pull the top half of this relief valve off, and then I'll show you what I meant when I added washers to it. Just loose enough for no. This thing's gonna jump at me when it comes loose because I have extra pressure in there because of the washers I put between the top half and yep, there it goes. Okay. One of the washers popped out. The problem was I was running at about 50% power. And reason being, I found my filter floating around the bottom, and it sucked all sorts of metal debris and blew the gaskets out of my pump. Where am I here? Oh yeah, you can see there's one of the washers I put in there. Basically, I did it just so it could put more pressure between the top half of your pressure valve and the springs. So let me see if I can get that out. I don't have a pick with me. There we go. And like I said, the other one went flying, so I don't have to worry about that one. Now I am going to back off some of the pressure on this thing because I had it set to max. And I'm assuming I don't need to have it set to max now after replacing the gaskets in the pump. So looks like it's about 3/4 of the way out. I'm still waiting on my pressure gauge to come in, so I can't really set it properly. I'm gonna just do it by feel. So once I get this tightened down, go ahead and fire it up and see what it does. Should be running in 30 more seconds. Kind of excited. Okay. And this is my Allen key for adjusting the relief valve. I'm going to leave it right in there. I'm going to take all my nuts and bolts off for all the pieces and set them next to me because I know that they're going to fall into places where I can't reach once I start it. Okay. Battery's off. Do one more walk around real fast, make sure I got nothing on it. Okay. Choke. Not choked enough. This is hard to do with one hand. Yeah, I gotta fix this. This broke the second day after I got the stupid thing. So, before I did the fix, if I lifted one end first with the bucket, like if I turn the bucket around, lift it, I could not lift it with the blade. I also could not turn left and right. So we'll see if that works. as you can see, we passed test number 1. Test 2 is going to be a little bit harder because my seat's not bolted in, so I'm going to have to kind of try to stand in there when I turn left and right. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that fixed the problem. It's turning and lifting. I'm gonna go ahead and put it back together, and if I got enough time, take it out to one of my fields and really test it out. But so far it seems like those gaskets I made a big difference. So yeah, 10-cent fix. Anybody can do it, really. So if anybody's got a low power problem and need to replace the pump and find their gaskets are shot, go ahead and try doing what I did, and I hope it helps.